and watched a bunch of videos on it. And basically, it's spindle turning on that. And I had a lot of fun doing it. I just started this week. I did these. This is the 4 I've done since Wednesday. This is the first one I did. And interesting enough, all 4 of these are all pecan. This is a spalted pecan that I had in the shop for some time, and it's all one piece, one hat on there. And
I see an interesting box out of that snowman.
You can do that next month. Okay. That would be a good idea. I hadn't thought about that. But they're all different shapes. This one right here, I made the hat separate. This is another piece of pecan that Greg gave me. On there, it's a little bit darker, but I made I'm going to show you how to make the hat, I think, and the nose and stuff. But they're all different shapes. And how many people here have ever actually made a real snowman? Okay. Oh, good. Okay. On that, has anybody seen a perfectly symmetrical, or is that the right word, snowman? Perfect. Okay. And you're not going to see any of my stuff perfect either. So, on that. So they're all different. And the one thing while I was watching the YouTube video, there are different hats you can put on them. And this is all one turning. This is one piece right here. One I haven't done yet was a beanie. The guy had the little person made 3 snowmen with a mom, dad, and a kid, and the kid had a beanie on. So it's kind of, use your imagination on there. And this is just one little piece right there, same way. And this is spalted pecan also on there. Now what I've got to turn today, I've got a piece of birch that I'm going to turn that with, but you can use any wood. And I like the spalted wood. I don't have enough of it. I'd like to have more, because I just think it adds a lot of character to it on that. So, yeah. Now, I'm not used to this machine, and I'm not used to doing this in front of people, because when I make my mistakes in my shop, nobody sees them but me on there, and every now and then I dodge them on there, but so they come on here. So okay, I like to turn fast. So heads up, Bill, are your reflexes still really good? You can catch? Okay. And basically, I don't use that many tools. The ones I've been turning, I generally use a skew, and I use a little bit of I actually use a bowl gouge instead of a spindle gouge sometimes. But when you make your coves, that's all you're really doing is making coves on that. Oop. Okay, let's see if I can get this running now. The first thing, of course, you want to do is get everything round here. And this is I believe this was a 3-inch piece of stock I had. Here we go. Well, I brought a ruler. I thought I did. Oh, little trick. No, it's right here. Oh, that one. No, this is. I use little magnets on here. I keep my tools on my lathe, so they're right there. I forgot I'd done that already. So, little pencil and everything is right there. You don't have to turn around too much. The first thing you want to do is kind of mark it, depending on what you want. You see there are different sizes here. So, and I have some handouts here. I made about, I don't know how many I made, about 25 or 30 of them. If anybody wants to take them, just shows basically how you want to do it. You can go ahead and pass them out. That was given to me. I didn't make that. Greg gave me that when he asked me to do the Snowman, because I have to have visuals to do it. But that gives you an idea, because you're going to have to 3 different sections here. So if you're making a 3-stack snowman like this, you're going to have 3 different sizes here. They don't want to all be the same size. So first thing you're going to do is mark where you're going to be cutting. Now you can make a snowman really when you get down to it. Most of those have taken a couple hours to make, start to finish. But you can actually cut a snowman. I cut one out. The first one I did in 20 minutes. So, and it kind of looks like it too. But anyway, so when you use this, once you get your mark where you're going to, about what size you're going to have, and I'm not sure if I'm going to put the top on this, because sometimes you can make, the hats are easy to make, and I have enough wood here left that I can make another hat out of. So if I end up messing this up, not making it with a hat, so we can go ahead and do that. First thing you want to do is cut your coves. How many people like to use a skew? Okay. I've noticed that I'm not real good at it. I'm getting better and better. As I know that's not proper English probably, but I'm trying to work on it more. And you could do a lot of your turning with using a skew instead of using 3 or 4 different tools. Now, we have a lot of accomplished wood turners in here. I'm not one of them. So you'll see I'm probably not using the tool completely correct all the time. So when you see me using that, don't do as I do, do as you do that's comfortable with you. This is the very first, one of the very first chisels I ever got. I got it from PSI. It's Benjamin's Best. I've had it for about 10 years. So it's just, and I just rediscovered it last week in the shop. I forgot I'd had it hanging up on the wall. But I sharpened it, it cuts good. So I'll use this primarily making this, but I'm also going to use, believe it or not, I actually use a bowl gouge. I'm more comfortable with a 50-degree angle on a bowl gouge making coves than I am on a spindle gouge. So. I'm turning about 2,000 RPM right now. You want to get your basic shape here, and then you'll start working on the body of it. There. What the fuck is that? There we go. Now you can use, when you're using your skew, you can do a scraping or a peeling cut. I guess that's the proper name for it. So it's nice how you can turn it over either way. Of course, you're not supposed to leave your tools on the bed when you're doing this. do with it here? When you make the brim of the hat, that's what they make sandpaper for. So you have your basic shape right here. I'm going to shave it up and make it a little bit tighter. There you go. Any questions so far? Okay. This is where I'll top it off. I'll have the top hat. I'm going to make this one piece. Yes, sir. Yes. I will in just a second, yes, sir, on that, because that was a good question that Corey brought up. If you see there, you can see I've used a piece of wire I have at the house also, but I also use a lot of the Corrigan, is that what that is? A laminate from Home Depot used to give these out. I don't know if they still do anymore. We've got some back there. But I'll show you how to burn this. I won't do a lot of it right now because we're kind of in an enclosed space on here. But it gives the definition, it breaks the lines up a little bit. Now the top one, you see this one with 3 balls on it, they have scarves on the top, so you don't really see it. But on the bottom one, it kind of gives a little bit of a shadow effect. So you can see where the snow was put together, so to speak. Well, I didn't do a very good job on that. Let me see here. Now I usually turn quite fast. You can see this is about 2,000 RPM. But turn at the speed, always think of safety because everybody uses their skew differently. I know there's supposed to be just one way, but everybody uses it a little bit differently. And everybody's more comfortable at different speeds. So if you like turning, you can turn just as well at 1,000 RPM. We had a member of the club when I first started attending the club about 10 years ago. I lived out, of course, a canter, so but he was a professional wood turner. I can't remember his name. But he always liked to turn about 3,000 RPM. He said the faster the better, you better cut, which you do, the faster you turn. So when I'm making Christmas trees or like these snowmen, this is fairly smooth here right now, but I'm turning at about 2,100 RPM. So turn what you're comfortable with. Don't think you have to go that fast. Once again, that's what they made sandpaper for on there. So, or keep your tools real sharp, and have a sharpening. If you don't, I'm fortunate I've got a couple of grinders that I put right beside my lathe, so I try to keep my tools sharp when I'm turning. So that's important too when you're doing that. Bill was telling about some things he inherited he's doing, and I saw on Facebook one of the things was a Wolverine grinding system with a grinder. So you may want to see him. I thought about getting it for myself, but I'm thinking where do I have my shop's real small. I've got too much stuff, and I've got 10 pounds in an 8-pound bag now. So, but see Bill about that. If you need a nice grinder, he's got a slow speed grinder with a Wolverine jig on it. So if you're looking for one or want an extra one, that's a good one to get. It does work? Well, you didn't have to put that in, but that's good. That's good. And I've got my basic shape here. Any other questions? I'm going to do just a little bit of quick sanding on here, on that. And once again, because we're in a closed area, I'm not going to do a whole lot because I've got another one that I pre-made. I can show you how I put the eyes and the hats and scarves on. And when I part this off here, if I part it off, I'll have enough here to go ahead and make a hat, because the hats are really simple to make. You round the head off here. I'm not going to do it here because I'll mess it up if I do it here in front of everybody. So, but if you round your head off where you want to do it, when you do the tops like this one right here, I made that hat separately. Round the top off, and then put a peg and drill a hole in the top of the head and the top of the hat, and then super glue it in together whatever angle you want it to be at on there. You don't want to turn real fast when you're sanding. I usually go about 800 RPM. I did not bring paste wax with me. I usually do that because when I finish this, once I get it sanded, I'll usually sand to 400. But I'm not going to sand that high today. But the nice thing about your sandpaper is when you get some of these little imperfections in here, you can kind of get them out. Now to get some of your marks out, when you sand, of course you're sanding in a rotating method, but when you're done here, I do this with pins. Sand with the grain when you're done with your sandpaper for each grit. That way it takes out you don't have to double fight when you get your grooves in there when you're sanding. That's not very good right there. Let me see here. He's got kind of a oblong head. See, the nice thing about a skew, you can get in these corners, get them real tighter, a little bit tighter than what you can, or I can anyway, when using a spindle gouge. And you can use both sides of your skew. Okay. When you're sanding, this is what I do. When I'm sanding, it shows me some of my imperfections that I've got here where it's not really as tight as I'd like it, like right there. I know you're supposed to turn and then sand and stuff, but I don't do everything quite in order sometimes. You just need a light touch when you're using your skew. We don't have any paste wax back in the cupboard, do we? Greg? Do we have any wax back in the cupboard? Any Mylans or anything? I forgot to bring mine. Now this is 320 I'm doing right now. Now you notice I've got my tailstock still up here. I could have taken it off. I think it's fairly steady, but I always like to use the tailstock as long as I can. Yes, sir. Okay. No, I'll do it. Thank you. Yes.
At the end, are you going to pull the tailstock back to finish up that?
I will, yes. I'm going to show you something. You know, I thought I had everything brought, but when you do your, this is end grain coming in here. So when you do your parting off here, I generally, when I'm in the shop, I'll go down to about maybe 1/8 of an inch. You see how they got a little tap on the top of here? Then I'll get my saw and I'll saw it off. You don't want to turn it off when I say turn it, when you all the way through, because you're never going to get that nipple out. It's going to always go those straws. I think Ken Mays showed an example years ago about the straws, and that's how the fibers are in the wood. So when you get down, which you'll show, I'm going to cut this off in just a minute. You'll see when I get down there, I'm going to go ahead and cut it all the way through, but long enough where I can sand it down where it doesn't show those little fibers coming out. That'll work. Oh, yeah. Well, no, that's okay. I don't want to spray in here. There's too enclosed, but thank you. And I apologize for not bringing that stuff. I'm going to part the hat off. So you got a little bit of a wobble there. You'll see on this when I part this off, because I didn't bring my saw, there's going to be a little fiber sticking out the end there. And even if you turn it off, I don't know if you can see that. It's not real smooth there right now, but I'll sand that off, and you see that little nipple there is going to be there if you turn it off every time. So you want to, when you get down to about, I'll sometimes even make it a little bit, maybe 1/8 of an inch, a little bit smaller than that, and just use my little saw. I've got one of those Japanese saws, I forget what they're called, but just saw it off, and then it's nice and smooth. And then you can sand it out, and you have a little top on the hat. Now this is where the front row's got to be on their toes. You're never supposed to leave your tools on the workbench when you're working like that, or on the bed. So don't do that. When I'm cutting the groove, I'm going in quite a little bit of an angle, so this will sit straight. And notice I'm cutting it a little bit wider because with a thin skew like this, I mean not skew, but parting tool. I don't know if anybody besides me has got it bound in there. When you're in there doing it, it gets stuck. So, yes, that's a good idea. Thank you. So you go in here. You don't have to go real fast on this. Now I have a vacuum, a dust collector system set up to mine, so I always have that on when I do this. Thank you. So see, it gives a little bit of definition there. Now I'm going to turn it about 1,000 RPM right now. And once again, I usually part this off when I get down to about here. I use my saw. But on the bottom, I'll sand it out. So he sits kind of tall like that. Now, thank you. Now this is what I made last night. I'm going to show you how I do the. I don't need this now. Let's see here. I'm going to show you how I do the nose and the eyes. In fact, I've got a piece. I'm going to show you how to turn the nose in just a second. And then I'll put it in here. Show you how you put it in here. And one of the things that those pass outs, here. For my eyes, I went down to Lowe's and got these little furniture tacks. And that's what I'm going to use for the eyes in a minute. Now let me see if I can do this, switch this chuck over real quick. How do you lock this? Where's the lock at? Okay, thank you. Well, you want me to make a hat first to show you how to make a hat, or would you do that? Okay. Now how do we unlock this? Okay. Let's put it. Okay. Okay. Now the hat, the first one I made backwards. You can do things backwards on here. And you can do different type of hats. I'll make the top hat just because it's easier. You always want to make sure your speed's turned off before you turn the lathe back on that. We've had people injured in the shop because they'll turn the lathe, especially these small jet mini lathes on. You never want to stand in front of them when you turn it on, because if they don't have the variable speed, it's easy for the piece, if you've got something in the chuck, to come out. You don't need a big piece of wood for the hat. But you notice I had this already cut. I used a little bit longer piece to make this snowman. This is going to be the brim. What you want to do is cut this groove in here. And say if you have you don't have to go real deep on here. You give your little cove, is that what it would be called, or cut in here? Because what I'll do at the end of this, if I put this on a hat, I'll drill a little hole in here, and then I'll drill a hole in this head, right in here, and put a pin. Some people use a pin. I make a little wooden dowel I got in here, and use super glue in it. Always paint your hat before you do that. On that. The first one I did the brim out here. I realized what I had done. How's that shape look? Okay. Now, another thing you can put a little cove in here, like to set it off. You see they've got little lines in there. There's your hat. Yeah. Thank you. So you just set that in, and you can set it at any angle you want, just wherever you want your pen to set. So like this one, you can make it with it. You can see the different ones I've made, different type of hats. And it's interesting going in, like I said, I went to YouTube and learned saw the different hats. And, you know, we don't wear hats that much anymore. But I remember when I was a kid growing up, every man had a fedora and a hat, but they don't do it well. You're the exception. But anyway, you know, it's so you make different type of hats on here. I haven't turned one yet with a kid with a little beanie. I think I'm going to turn that this week, where when you turn the head, you just cut a groove in here, and then you kind of fashion, you'll paint it black. Yeah, good. Now I'm going to do while I set this up. Ooh, that hurt. Okay. I'm going to show you how to do a nose. A nose. You have to have a nose. But they're a lot of fun to make. Let's see. Okay, so I remember how to lock this now. Oh, there you go. Okay. You push it down or up? Okay, okay. Insert's turning. Okay. I want the insert out. Well, see if that'll work it. Let's see, I got a pair of pliers here. Let's try that. Well, they won't go that far enough out. Okay. No, I can't. Yeah, the insert's coming out. I don't want the insert out. Let's see here.
That don't fit good. No, you don't got it squared off.
No. Well, maybe I won't make a nose. Yeah. Yeah, let's see here. Got anything back there? Is there a wrench back in the back or something that fits us to take this chuck off? No, the insert's coming out. I don't want the insert out. He's gonna see. We got this out of, this is one of the chucks that was donated to the club. And I guess this is a 1 1/4 inch spindle. I thought it was a 1 inch, so I changed my chucks out last night for 1 inch on there. But this is how you make the nose while you're waiting for that. Do what? Let's see if it will. Oh, there we go. That's why we have Marvin here. Now let's see if this will work. Okay. Now this is where you do your little spindle turning really close. This is actually, I think it is walnut. I usually use a harder piece of wood. If you use soft, it kind of breaks off. You have to be really careful. Okay. Well, we'll take it in closer. Okay. Well. There we go. Always make sure you get your wood in there nice and tight. Just take smooth passes. You don't have to take it because you're working with a smaller piece of wood here. You don't want to take real big passes. because you're going to paint it, you want to sand it. Now Corey did a class last fall, I think, on the texturing. And I went out and bought all these pens, which were the little felt tip. What are they called, Corey? Right, acrylic paint pens. Yeah. But that's what I do the orange with. So you want to get a little bit smooth here, but no matter how smooth you get it, you're going to have some burrs on it. So you'll sand it, like I sand this down generally to about 400 when I'm doing this one. Yeah, go ahead. That'd be fine. Now when you part this off, yeah, that'd be fine. Now when you're making the stem for the nose, because what I'm going to do, I'm going to drill a hole. I've got one here, the demo, where I'm going to do it in just a minute. I pre-made some noses and stuff. So make it longer, because you know the one thing about wood, when you're cutting it, you can always make it shorter, but for some reason you can never make it longer. So. Now you'll notice it's not a perfect round nib, but it's going to be close enough to go in there, because when you put it in, I use super glue, and you don't want to put the super glue on the face of the snowman. You'll see how I do this. I actually roll this in some super glue and then stick it in on that. And once again, I would use my saw to saw this off, but since how I neglected that to bring that. Yes, sir.
Do you use like the medium or thick viscosity?
I use medium. Yeah. Use medium CA glue, because if you use the quick set, it dries before you can get it in there. There's your nose. Now when you're making these, on the hat, I actually use gesso. Gesso, did I say that right? Gesso, black gesso. I just paint it black, and then I spray it with a lacquer. Corey, when we were doing these acrylics, I wasn't sure what type of lacquer, and the gentleman that said fusion type lacquer to spray it with. So when I put the gesso on there for the hat, and I do it I do my black hats when I make it one piece like that. I do it when it's on the lathe. I'm not a good painter, so I make a lot, because when I touch the face up with the black paint, sometimes I can always sand it off. But plus you can put it on there and get it a little bit smoother, and it looks nicer, because I'll turn my lathe down. I go down to 25 RPM. So I'll turn it on and I'll make a nice even sweep on it with the black. So it comes out, every one of those were, with the exception of one of the hats, the one that's at an angle, well, in fact, that one, I painted those all on the lathe, because I'll paint it on the lathe first, and then I use my, I use a wax. I use the Easy Wax. I wax it real good, and then, because you can spray lacquer over the Easy Wax on there, and it takes it without any problem. So after I do that, I'll go outside and I'll spray it outside. I don't do it in the shop. So I'll take it outside on my porch of my shop and spray everything. Then once it's dried, I'll come in and I'll put the buttons on. Like this one right here that I've got. This is a piece of hackberry that I turned last night. I went in and showed my wife before last night when I was getting things ready, and I pre-punched my holes here, and I'll show you why in a minute. But I used to use an awl to punch where I'm going to put the holes, so because I don't want my drill bit to go off, try to skate in, which it'll probably do now. But anyway, but she said, Jerry, you should have put it on the other side. I said, well, anyway. So like that first one I did, I was able to line it up. It looks like it has a mouth and stuff. So, and I don't do the mouths, which some people do, and that's fine on here. And in fact, I was talking this morning with Derek. Derek was using, when his eyes, he drills a little hole using a little bit and puts Derek, where's Derek? What is that you put in there? Yeah. Yeah. This is where the nose is going to go. And I've made some noses, which I'm not going to put it in right now. I just want to make sure I get it drilled. I put the hose in so you can see how that will fit right in there. And I'm going to glue it in just a minute. But you want to put your eyes and your buttons on before you do the nose. Because if you're like me, you're not that coordinated. And you don't want to hit the nose when you're putting the eyes in. Now, I use these, like I think I mentioned earlier. I got these at Lowe's. I'm going to try to find some smaller ones also. But I used a little punch and got my holes in there a little bit so I can get my start here. And my hammer, I put a piece of tape on the end of it because you don't want to hit this with a metal to metal, because then you're going to have to paint it because you're going to knock the paint off. It's in the hardware department. They've got it hidden, but they did have. Well, they have all the hooks and all the picture stuff. It was on the Lowe's here in Waco. It was across the aisle from it. I mean, not the same aisle, but across the way. And it had the little section, maybe 4 hangers wide, that said furniture. And it had the furniture. These are for tabs for putting your furniture in. And what I actually did when I made the other ones, I actually drilled my holes, got a real small drill bit, and drilled the holes down so I wouldn't have to tap as hard. Yes, sir. Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, shoot. And see, I just hit that wrong. Try not to mess this up too much. Now see what happens is that I put that nail and I got it in crooked. So, how do you work these pliers, Greg? Got what? No, I've got I just need to get something to get a hold of it. Do what? Oh, okay. There we go. Okay. I'm not mechanically inclined, as you can tell. I went to Votech when I was in high school. I was going to learn to be an auto mechanic. And I realized I didn't have the aptitude to be a mechanic because you didn't want me to work on your car. Some things that a good mechanic could do in a half hour take me 2 hours to do. There you go. Now, for the eye, this is what I do for the nose. Got some medium CA glue. Let's see if I can do this without messing it up. Roll it around in there. Yeah, it's a little bit loose. Try to. Okay. I drilled this hole a little bit bigger than what I should have. So I'm going to do something I told you not to do. There's a reason you don't do it like that. There we go. The nice thing about medium CA glue is when you make a mistake like that, you can hold off for a few minutes. Now, when you do my wife used to do a lot of scrapbooking. Remember when scrapbooking was really popular? So she's got 26,000 yards of ribbon. So she said, Jerry, use it. So I got some of her ribbon here, and this is what you're going to make the scarf out of. Okay. The nice thing about the scarves is you can change them. Let's see. Okay, it's not quite dry, but now this may be a piece of ribbon, may be a little bit too wide, but that's the nice thing about it is you can always take them off and change the scarf. How many people get Wood Turner magazine? Okay. There's an article in there today to this month's issue. I just got it in, well, I think I got it in about 3 weeks ago. I just started reading it. But one of the things is the Turner out in Great Britain, and he does Snowman. He makes them during Christmas time, and I guess they're real popular. But that's where I got the inspiration for the different hats. Now, we hope his nose doesn't fall off. He's not completely dry. There's Mr. Snowman. One thing I have learned on the ribbon, some of the ribbon my wife has little wires in it, so you can actually mold it better. This one will take a while, but I'll get it set down straight where it needs to be. Okay, any questions? Okay. Yes, sir.
I just have one tip for the nose. If you make instead of having a smaller dowel than the end of the nose,
Mhm.
make it the same size as the end of the nose. You don't have the gaps between the rounding of the head.
Okay. Everybody hear that? Okay. No? Okay. So, okay. So, he would say, Sean was saying, make the dowel the same size as the hole so you can put it all the way in there so you don't have a gap there. Because there's a slight, normally the ones I have there, I don't know if they have much of a gap, but this, I don't know if this is going to work. I may have to make another a nose for this one when I go home. But usually they'll sit real tight. I just happen to drill a hole bigger than what I should have. So. But remember the first part I talked about this is not symmetrical? Yeah. So, any questions? Yes, sir. Ribbon, I got it from out of Mrs. Haynes' closet. She's got a whole bunch. You can go down, you can't, of course, Joanne's no longer in business, but you can go get the ribbon at Hobby Lobby or Michael's or any craft store like that. They're going to have it. And I just had, like I said, she's got like 26,000 yards of ribbon. And you'll see the different ones I got. You don't have to use red. Like I've got these red, and there's another one, black polka dots and stuff. So use your imagination anywhere you want. And same way with the hats. I've got these all black, but I'm gonna make a couple with a red hat, a maroon hat, a white hat, different type of hats on there. So make them all different because when they sit there differently there, I think that's one of the cute things about them is that they're not all the same on that. And like I do craft shows, well, I do one a year. It's a Christmas show coming up. So I enjoyed making these. They're a lot of fun. And your skew, if you use your skew, the best way to learn to do it is making these snowmen because, I'm not that good on the skew. I try on there. But use your skew, use your different tools. Like I've used, when I was making some of these, I just used a bowl gouge. It's got a 50-degree angle, and I'm comfortable with that. So use the tool that you're comfortable with. And don't get it perfect. Some of us can do that. I can't do that. I have never been mechanically inclined where I'm like an engineer. I get it right to the millisecond or millidegree or whatever on there. So, and I think that's one of the charms is they have different shapes and different sizes. If you look around you, nobody in this room has the same shape or size. They're all different. Some of us have big heads, some of us have small heads. Some of us have big bellies, the others don't. It's all different. So same way when you're snowmen on that. So, they've got this craft show coming up, the one we're going to do, the club's going to do. I'd encourage people to make some for that. I have a feeling it's going to be a good show, first of all. But second of all, have things, and I can sell these for $25, $30 a piece. It's not about making the money. I enjoy doing it. But the nice thing about it is I like doing the shows. I like talking to people. I get more fun out of selling things I do making them. And that's just maybe a affirmation of myself for doing something. But, we're all different. And you want different things like here. So come and support the club when we do that craft show. Try to put your stuff in it. But if you do shows, I know there's a couple people. James Black does a show. He does his out. Don't you, James? Don't you do one out in Belton?
Yeah, I do some local shows.
Okay. And I know Corey's done shows. I've done several shows, and it's not a big thing. I don't do it to make money, but I do it to have fun. I actually talk to people, and you get to talk about the wood turning with the people on there. So, but these are great. I've got 2 great grandkids. All my grandkids are in their 20s and 30s now. So, my great grandkids. So I'm gonna make some of these for them for Christmas. Send them up to them. They're in Dallas. But a lot of fun to make. And once again, just like you get to, this is not perfect, I know. My nose is coming drooping. But, and then you'll paint it, in different ways. Some people don't want to paint them, you don't want to spray them. I just happen to like the looks of it. If you want a matte finish or just use the regular wood with the Mylans or something like that, I use the Easy 3E easy paste on mine. I should have brought it, but anyway, I think that's it. Any questions? Well, have fun. I hope you learned something. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Next month is going to be tips and tricks. So we need volunteers. I'm not going to be here. So everybody's
Thank you.
I wanted one good.
Okay.
It was great. Good demo.
Thank you.